G'day, mate, and welcome to the Friday Facts number 284 with the 17 Experimental. And I've actually got Colonel Will with me today.
Greetings.
Yeah, every single time you say that, I hear it in Mad Zuri's voice.
You hear Zuri, don't you? I'm doing it just to mess with you.
Yeah, I know.
Just to mess with you.
Thanks. So in case you were living under a rock or something, 17's out. It's pretty much... Yeah, it is.
Really? Oh.
So yeah, with who was it? Somebody did it was Mangle Pork. Mangle Pork went and copied the patch notes and put them into like a Word document and did a word count, and it's like 5,000 words or something in the Friday Facts. It's massive, and this is the exact problem they have. The script failed to post the release announcement to Steam and Reddit, wondering why. The reason is the patch notes are so big, exceed the maximum post size of 40,000 characters. So, yeah.
I gave up reading it after a couple of thousand.
I read half of it and then I gave up.
Yeah, I was so excited to start playing. I read the major features, some of the minors, and then
started playing
the rest.
Yeah. So yeah, code-wise, this is massive, and the amount of bugs they'll go through correlates with it. Yep. We had, 17.1 out 4 hours, I think, after 17 was released.
Best. Yeah, not quite a personal best for them, but pretty good.
I think for the first incremental version, it's definitely a personal best. Maybe not the personal best for
version 11 was 41 minutes or something like that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Before my time. So yeah, they've got lots of bugs, but at the moment they're in the prioritization method, so they're picking the worst bugs that break the game the most, and then going back towards some of the okay bugs that we can deal with. And there's been a bit of both, actually. I know I've reported a couple of bugs that they'll get to eventually.
Yeah, all my bugs that I've reported have been done.
Okay. So the automated upload crash report doesn't have... If the automated uploaded crash report doesn't have enough information in it for them to fix the bug straight away, they can go check the forums, which is what they've been doing, and see that the pipe ghosts happen more than 200 times. It was fixed, obviously, but let's wait and see what the top of 17.4 will be after the weekend. So there's a major bug where if you had a underground pipe between two other pipes, like your heavy and your light on most refineries, you could quick replace the underground pipe and have the fluids mix. It was a bit of a bug.
Yeah.
And I didn't actually see people who were playing with it crash, but obviously there was a crash relating to it. Yeah. I know there's a couple of crashes relating to Macs only, that only happen on Macs and Linux, that don't happen on Windows. But yeah, at the same time, they also got a cake, which...
I didn't get a cake.
I didn't get a cake either. I think we both have to develop a game and then have our office clearly listed on the internet where people can send us random things, like...
Send us food, yeah.
Send us, yeah. Well, this time it was cake. I think the last one they showed was Steam sending them chocolates. The one before that was a bag of dicks. So, you know, it has its pros and cons.
Mixed bag.
Yep. So then they covered the campaign. Now, you played a little bit of the campaign. I've actually just finished the campaign yesterday. I played through the whole campaign. It took an hour and a half.
Did it? Oh, no, I gave it about 20 minutes.
So you played through the first section, I know that now. And
yeah,
you had some comments you were making. I had some comments I was making, and yeah. So
yeah, I was yelling at the little robot thing way too much.
Yeah, Compy, good old Compy. Compy,
he's been doing it all wrong. I had to go behind and rebuild it all.
Yeah, well, I did the exact same thing. So we'll get to the pictures in a minute. So, enormous thank you. Lots of people can complete the scenario message, can complete the scenario, and when you get to the end, they actually ask you to send them a couple of screenshots. It's 3 screenshots, and I did this late last night, about 4 a.m. when I finished the campaign, and it's literally just a photo of what your base looked like at the end. And so far, poor Ben's inbox has 10 gigabytes worth of photos already, or screenshots. Most of the feedback's been very positive, but certainly not done some tweaking. You'll see below. So, in the scope of their scenario, the scenario we used as the free demo, which I like that idea. It should be the first thing a new player sees, which I agree, because I've blind played through so many games where even if I had played the tutorial, it doesn't tell you how to play the game, and that really sucks. I actually just had that with Astroneer, which is in version 1. I played through their tutorial, which was really quick and handheld you the whole way, which was so frustrating, and then didn't tell me how half the game worked. It was awesome. It's got to demonstrate the art style. It must demonstrate the open design gameplay of free play. It should be fun for seasoned players. The first half should have tutorial elements. Second half give a player a chance to test themselves with a real environment. No jumping through hoops or simply obeying orders. Encourage the player to be creative. Player must learn the game, not how to finish the scenario. Must include organic learning as much organic learning as possible. It must limit the environment enough that the player cannot become confused with choice. Players should not receive help until they need it. No quest without purpose. Nothing that I add should affect the free play experience. Anything you want to add, Will?
No, I think I'm okay. It's not where my real argument lies. So.
Yeah. Many players feel.
I agree. I think in general.
Yeah, look, I agree. It's unfortunately when I played through it, the fact that I couldn't handcraft copper cable and gears frustrated the hell out of me.
Yeah.
And
I was like, yeah.
And many players feel the scenario is too difficult for new players, which I really agree with. Even with my experience, I
mean, I like that it didn't start like all games do, press W to move up, press S to move down.
Oh, it did.
It wasn't...
It did.
Did it?
It did, but it got over that real quick. It was like, use WASD to move around. Good, we got that. 5 seconds. Next.
But I must have done that without...
Yeah.
I just moved, I guess, and completed it.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, it gets into it, but yeah. Like it says there it does... nothing that I add should affect free play experience. Mm-hmm. Well, in free play, you can craft copper cable and screen circuits. Let me craft the goddamn copper cable and screen circuits. If you want me to make something because it tells me to make an assembly machine or something.
It does.
But it doesn't tell me that I need green circuits to do it. So I have to repurpose the one that I've already got or something like that.
Yeah, I've only got one assembly machine, so I need to repurpose it to make copper cable to then repurpose it again to make green circuits to feed everything. It was frustrating. And the big response a lot of players had is the lack of splitters and underground belts making solving design puzzles more difficult. And combat-heavy gameplay is not what Factorio is about, especially at the difficulty presented in the scenario. So you didn't get to the end, but at the end, I think I had 3,000 kills.
Yeah, I've seen pictures. It looks pretty horrific.
Yeah. So order of concepts, not order of operations. Sometimes if a game is complex, the smallest chunk is impossibly large, leading to walls of text that must be read before playing. Sometimes chunks are made very small, but then the designers want to speed players through, so they force a series of narrow interactions. See Factorio's old tutorial. So the old tutorial was pretty crap from memory, and it was literally do this, bang, you're in the game, have fun. So the new one's definitely a step up, but it's still got a lot to go. So yeah, we got the projection of production. The blueprint production is a humble recipe tooltip. This is when the player first sees how to make an item in a game. Our job is to teach them now how to take a recipe and translate it into the production chain. This is a simple, most important lesson on the road to automation. So I set out to remove all obstacles. Let's break our decision down to the mechanical parts. Assembly machines, belts, and inserters. And upside down power. So this was one that, I don't know, I didn't like the fact that... So, in the campaign, the new player experience, they give you free power.
That, funny enough, I said that as well, because it dragged me away and made me look at biters that were eating some crashed ship or something that was getting closer and closer to me, and it was yelling at me that I need to make boilers and steam engine. I was like, well, no, I don't, you stupid game. You've given me free power already. What I need is ammo, a gun, and I'll go deal with them.
Yeah. Except,
and I quit. I quit on that because it kept cutscening me to buy it. Get close. I was like, just give me a gun.
Yeah. Except you can't craft a gun for ages. You can't craft ammo for ages, and I don't know. Does the pistol normally need copper? I can't remember. I can't say I've crafted a pistol in a very, very long time. And even then, normally it's been late to the game to dump into somebody's inventory. So I've probably had iron and copper laying around. But you couldn't go deal with the biters. And the whole reason you were getting the power was you're about to walk off the map to the next area. Yeah.
I thought I was going to make a stand.
No, you run away. And you're given a
that's
limited
the strategy. Is it we abandon our starter?
Yeah, you abandon your starter base
and move away. Okay,
and go join Compy and move on to the next part. And there's nothing forcing you to run away. So I actually ran around and picked up everything. I took everything with me. I'm like, no, I'm not leaving a single thing. It's normal. So during the focused testing, it's noticed that the interaction between belts and inserters was not very intuitive to begin with. I would agree. If there was a normal video game tutorial, we'd probably just ask you to obey, placing a belt one after another, then insert next. Here in the interaction, I want the players to see both concepts working separately and to interact successfully with each one. So in the new player experience, you've got loaders, and then when the loader's finished and you've ticked off that little mission objective, the loader disappears and you've got to replace it with a piece of belt and an inserter, which I liked.
It didn't tell you that. I knew that. It didn't tell me to do that.
No, it didn't tell me. I think it said you got to hook it back up or something.
I didn't read it.
Yeah. And this is the part that we'll love. Compy builds a mining setup for the player, and then the objective window directs the player to feed the production plates into the feeder. Once it's complete, the feeder is removed, and the player needs to load and unload the assembly machine with inserters. So I did the inserter part easy enough, but we both complained that there's 3 burner miner drills with 2 smelters.
Yeah, I immediately ripped that up and replaced it with 3 1-to-1s.
Catch is, the ratio is actually closer to 3-to-2 than it is to 1-to-1.
Chat pointed that out to me when I was streaming at the time, but I countered that with, I don't care. I'm still
I did. I did the exact same. I would prefer the extra burner miner drill to make a coal loop, which was not covered at all. And that I found really, really silly, that such a basic core concept of Factorio of having 2 burner miners feeding into one another, so they could have up to 50 coal in each of them, is just it's not covered. It's feed it into a box or hand mine it, and that just
And I don't care that the smelter is a 2 quick burner drill. The smelter can just sit idle for a little bit. I don't care. That just means that I have to feed it less because the coal lasts longer.
Yeah, it's fractions of a second that it's idle. Yeah. It really doesn't matter.
And for the speed and convenience, it's fine.
Yeah.
And one other point about this little thing that it builds, the loaders. So at the top of the Friday Facts, it says the list. It says it represents the graphical of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So my answer to that at the time was, so we're using loaders that don't have a graphic. That's what we're showing here. Is it?
Loaders
the first thing that they see is loaders that don't...
Yeah. I remember
or finish a loader.
I remember a really, really old graphic made by a mod for Inserter that looked like an underground tunnel sort of thing into the assembly machine. I'm like, that'd do. Just whack that on there. It looks right.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if they made the loader a 1x1 tile, so it's the same size as an inserter. So when Compy ripped it up, you could replace it with an inserter. So yeah. So the questions, where are we? Double or nothing. So in the next step, the player needs to apply what they've learned to building a copper smelting output and feed 2 different items, iron gears and copper plates, into a single feeder. Once this objective is complete, the player has, without knowing it, set up science pack automation. So I did this, and I fed copper was obviously on one side of the belt, and then I fed gears on the exact same size, and it didn't care. It just kept eating copper until it had gone way past the 50 it asked for, and then just ate gears until it got to the 50. And then, of course, the whole system broke down because the assembler was waiting for gears, and there was 5 bits of copper on the belt in the way before it found a gear. So yeah,
I went at that a different way. I ripped up everything there and was hand feeding stuff because I figured that I only had to do what it wanted to let me move on. And if I just ripped all this stuff up, I was just hand feeding it.
okay. So yeah, the question of splitters and underground belts. There was a lot of feedback about players not giving access to splitters and underground. Some even consider this akin to handicapping a new player. What I argue is the difference between complexity and difficulty. Having those two tools makes the puzzle easier, yes, but also makes it more complex. Many long-time players mentioned that they enjoyed solving simple, long-ago optimized problems with a reduced tool set. Using inserted splitter belt does work, but also makes the player realize the importance of splitters when they are unlocked. And then we've got a no wrong way to play Factorio, which actually takes you to a Reddit post where a guy is building a base and moving ore from belt to belt to belt to only half-load a belt, which is something I didn't even consider at the time. And it's a mess of how he's done it, and he's used long-handed inserters, which we don't have access to, and all sorts of things. I'd like to see undergrounds. Undergrounds is the real thing that I felt I was missing in the tutorial. Splitters would be nice, but undergrounds, yeah. I end up running a coal belt all the way around my base because I couldn't just underground it under another belt. It was frustrating.
Yeah, this is where I hadn't played that far where I would have needed them. I can see what they're saying. Like, you don't want to get them used to belts, insert some machines first, and build them up. So I can sort of see why they've done it. And
I can sort of see it too, but like I could live without splitters entirely. There'd be a special present given to you later, so you could have one line of coal that you can then split in half, rather than I set up 3 different lines of coal. But in underground, because you don't have long-handed inserters, you can't even get over a belt, and that was my real issue. I couldn't even make a jump from my left side of the base to the right side of the base. I had to go all the way around it. So yeah, it was. Yeah.
And another point about that, the graphics under those assemblers and labs and stuff, the grey box, is this what we're showing to people that are trying the game out for the first time?
I did like that the
unfinished graphics.
The lab had red lightning.
I love the lab. I got really excited because I played this before I went into a free play map. I thought, the lab's going to sprinkle red if it's using a red pot, and if it's using red and green, it's going to sprinkle red and green and blue, and if it's using all the pots, it's going to be all pretty colours. And I was disappointed.
Oh, well, that's now at the highest end of the mod suggestions. Can we have multicoloured pretty lights in our labs, or I'll settle for just red?
I got so excited.
Red looks awesome.
I also got excited for potentially having level 4 assemblers because they were red. I was also disappointed. But I'd have probably complained about them being OP. So,
I actually thought these were the new Tier 1 assemblers. Because we'd seen the red assemblers in the Friday Facts before, and I literally thought that they'd just taken away the grey ones and replaced them with a red tinge. And I like the idea. I like the idea we had red, blue, and yellow. Rather than grey, blue, and yellow. So,
yeah, just to confuse us. 3 same colours as belt, but in a different order.
Yeah.
Just keeps on our toes.
That's fine. So you're giving production purpose. I mentioned above that we want to remove quests which ask you to produce items for no reason. Several times in the old campaign, the player was asked to produce 100 or even 1,000 of items because you'll need them, and only move on to the next level where we take them all away. So how do we give production a purpose? Consumption is the intent of production. You produce with the intent to consume. Factorio is only 3 ways for players to consume items: converting items of research progress, constructing the factory, or killing biters. And they went with the killing biters, and there's more blurb in here, and I've read it, but I haven't had a chance to actually go through and highlight and summarize. And we've also got pretty pictures of here of this is the last level and how people had set things up. And when they quit, when they finished the campaign, I assume. And you can see there's lots of different designs here. It all features some sort of power, some sort of research, and some sort of ammo production normally. And yeah, without undergrounds and it was a mess. Let's just put it away. It was a mess. And the only ones that I see that clean are the ones that obviously did a lot of pre-planning before they started to get clean belts of coal across the map and built everything horizontally. So yeah.
If I'd done this, honestly, it depends. If I knew what the final goal was, likely I would have just abandoned the belts and just gone to hand feeding everything.
Yeah, look,
wooden boxes and just running around with it. If I knew the end wasn't that far away.
Well, like I said, it took me an hour and a half from start to end, and probably about half hour in the first one and an hour in the second one, and they're split up to like three 30-minute sections, I guess. And yeah, it was I don't know. I don't know. Ben's got a heap of screenshots to look at. I'm willing to bet that after he looks through all the screenshots and he gives players, because that's another thing they're saying, they're going to add tweaks where you can go back and play it again with some of the tweaks they've added. I think Undergrounds will end up coming back into our list of technologies we can access, because it was just a bit of a nightmare.
Just let them research it. Get CompuBot to just like, hey, it might be a good idea if we research splitters. Then we can do stuff with the belt, and then just get Compy to draw it, or iron belt going one way, copper belt going the other, and then underground one under the other. And players will get, that helps. Yes, yeah. And then get it. Let them try it without it for a little bit, and then Compy comes along and be like,
So one of the other things they did is they had a separate technology tree, which is why we couldn't handcraft copper cable or gears until you researched the ability to handcraft stuff, which was about as backward thinking as I can think of. But we found a lot of players set up a basic science pack automation and then go AFK till it finishes. And I even did the same. I set up one assembler to 2 science packs.
How far do you have to go in the research?
The research is extremely high. Like stuff that would normally be 50 packs is now 150 packs. So I think I settled on 6 assemblers doing red science. And you have to research green science, but then you don't actually use green science because it ends. And I think I had about 7 labs in the end. And even then, things were taking a really long time to research.
Yeah. I'd have probably just hand-fed it all and gone bigger with hand-feeding. Just keep scaling it up.
Probably. It was frustrating that research took so long. And I really felt like that was holding me back time and time again. That I was just waiting for stuff to happen. And because I recorded it all, I'm sitting there wasting time whilst trying to do a video, and it was a little bit frustrating. So yeah. So as for construction, the second part of the interaction, we allowed the player to build the factory any way they wanted and to consume all of their resources to do so. Only after they're settled do we apply the third consumption pressure combat. So, a lot of people said Factorio is not about biter killing. Factorio is not a tower defense. Killing biters is not about combat. It's about a production challenge, which it really, really was. And they've always got the standard joke. We all know the real enemies are trees.
Yep.
And they made you make 25 ammo per minute, I think, which is basically one assembler running flat out. And that was fine. That wasn't too hard. But I had 2 assemblers running flat out, and in the end, I had a whole separate smelter block making yellow ammo, and I'm defending the east and the west side, and I have ammo being filled onto a belt, fed around the base, fed to all the gun turrets, and I actually ran out of ammo in the gun turrets. It was that bad. So yeah, it turns out, and there's a lovely picture here that's not even the worst of it. It got way worse than this. That they used the default biters from the from normal Factorio, modified. Hang on, it's hard. So it's not hard for new players. It's hard for veteran players. The attack system emulates free play's pollution system. If you pollute hard, you're attacked hard. The only difference is the price of a biter is lowered inversely to how far you are through the final research. Ideally, it scales up the further and further you are towards the very end of the very, very last research.
So you're a victim of your own success.
Yeah. It also means that if you've got one assembler doing red science, one assembler doing science into one lab, it's going to take ages to get through the last 300 science packs to do that last research. I had 7. And in the end, I was literally standing behind a gun turret, holding the repair pack button on it, holding spacebar to shoot as many fighters as I could.
Yeah.
Making ammo slightly faster than I was using it, watching the gun turret ammo count down from 50. And
in the movie Aliens with the gun turret counter.
Oh, definitely. It didn't get to 0, thank gosh. I actually finished it beforehand. I managed to finish the last research. But I wasn't even looking at research at that stage. I'm like, this is the last stand. The left side of the base is gone. I'm on the right side. Copper is being eaten. I'm standing in beside, tucked between a gun turret and a smelter. It's bad. Yeah, it was bad. So, dynamic difficulty is a big topic in the office, but even its staunch opponent, Kovarex, admits he had fun with the final wave. He also holds the high score during the introduction, over 9,000. So that's my new goal. Beat Kovarex's high score.
Stinson's already took that as challenge accepted.
Oh, has he? Okay. So
yeah, he was in Discord earlier. It's challenge accepted.
Beat Kovarex, then beat Stinson.
Yeah.
So we've always done dynamic difficulty in the free play, so I consider it representative. The difficulty, of course, be a bunch of balance passes and something we added warn players better of the dangers ahead. There were warnings, but they were not obvious. There was 5 little biters that I kept running at and having to shoot in the face. And then suddenly it scaled up to there's not 5 of them, there's 20 of them, there's 30 of them, there's 50 of them. So yeah, scale really needs to be looked at. So the introduction is far from done. It's far from done or even ready for all new players. My task over the next week is to go over the massive amount of high quality feedback and start testing some tweaks. Scenario not receive updates every time we update 17. Instead, I'll bundle the changes once every few patches. If you'd like to share any feedback about the campaign, we set up a dedicated forum here, and if you find any bugs, we can also have a place for them here. Always let us know what you think of the forums. Done. Friday Facts over and dusted. Anything you'd like to add, Will?
Can I go back to playing Factorio now?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Well, that's it for Friday Facts. Whatever number we're up to. 284. 17 is awesome. 17 is out. 17 is so different. And the biters especially are very, very different. I actually did a video on biters yesterday. And
yeah, I watched that. That was interesting.
Yeah, they got a movement speed increase. All the worms got a massive range increase. And it actually turns out I had to do digging through old maps to find them. Behemoth worms actually exist in-game now. Yeah,
I know. We found them last night.
Yeah. I haven't actually played any 17. Yeah. That's my problem. It's been out, and I've been recording these videos, editing these. Yeah. I haven't played 17.
They're don't go near them. Their goo is nasty.
Oh yeah, and they've got a range of
they
like
outrange you.
48 or something. Because I actually looked up the stats,
they outrange your lasers. They outrange your personal weapons. Rockets might just go toe to toe with them.
Rockets don't even get to. Rockets to a small worm, not quite a medium worm, no hope on a big worm, and forget it on a behemoth worm. It's Rocket's got a damage increase, but not enough. A range increase, but not enough. Not nearly enough.
Also, according to my chat, that behemoth worms were not in the patch notes. Once again, they overlooked that fact.
Overlooked or slid it in. Maybe it's one of these.
Just like the original behemoths were neglected to be mentioned in the patch notes. You go charging in a late game base and, oh Christ, what's this?
Yeah. Maybe it's one of those famous Easter eggs that falls into these new releases and then gets patched out like Landfish.
Oh, I miss Landfish.
Yeah, well, they're gone. I think they were a UPS draw. Right. Oh. Anyway, I'm going to call it there. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.